Capitalism really popped off today, honey.
Conservatives are outraged at Bud Light's latest Dylan Mulvaney sponsorship. So what do? Of course, they stuck up for their ethics and morals.
Wrong.
Actually, they backtracked everything and apologized. Then they took a leave of absence. This is all really confusing and a lot is going on. So we're going to dive deeper into the whole Bud Light fiasco and what it means for the entirety of rainbow capitalism. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Queer Collective Podcast. I'm your host, Carvin.
And I'm Emily.
And welcome back to the show. First things first, why are the conservatives mad to begin with? Well, they put Dylan Mulvaney's face on a can and shipped it to her. They're not selling this product. They're not endorsing a product that you can buy in store. They just put her face on a can
As a
and
gift.
then mailed it.
They're not even saying that they support trans rights or anything.
No.
They're just like, promote my product.
They were just like, here's your face.
This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it.
So what happens next? Of course, the iconic, the legend, Kid Rock gets pissed.
I'm so sorry. Did you call Kid Rock an icon and a legend?
Absolutely iconic.
Is Kid Rock an actual child?
He's not a child. He's like an adult human.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch.
Thanks for
Actu-
confirming.
Probably in like his later years, actually.
Later years.
Later. He's later.
Maybe
Advanced.
put down at the vet soon.
Oh God.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Okay, continue.
So of course Kid Rock does the reasonable thing and buys a bunch of Bud Light to just shoot up a bunch of Bud Light. And a lot of other Republicans / conservatives follow suit
Supporting the company with their dollars.
by buying Bud Light just to pour out Bud Light.
This one's for all the men out there who work all day, come home, and just want to drink a cold beer. I'll never drink Anheuser-Busch again in my life. So cheers to all the beers out there, but fuck Bud Light. God, that's good.
America.
Fuck yeah. The working class is pissed because us men just want to come home and drink a brewski. No trans rights. They have this campaign going for these companies that, you know, have a rainbow on them sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is in protest of that, called Go Woke, Go Broke.
Yeah.
And essentially what they do is they film themselves getting these products to either shoot them up or pour them out if it's a beverage or light it on fire if it's like another kind of product. The most hilarious part of that to me is the fact that he's drinking Coors Light to replace Bud Light. And Coors Light is actually hilariously the longest supporter, like the longest brewer that has been a supporter of the LGBT plus community. Like they go back even further than Bud Light.
Yeah.
They are refreshingly proud. 1978, Coors became the first brewer ever to institute a non-discrimination policy based on sexual orientation. And in 1993, Coors founded Lager, which is the first LGBT employee resource group among brewers. They actually led the pack. So they switched to an even gayer company.
That's Vizzy's mom and dad.
That's right. Thanks, mom and dad. You know what that does is it brings a lot of attention to the brand.
Do you think they're like the brands are actually doing this as a publicity stunt? Like, because they know that conservatives are going to react this way and then they're going to get so much like ad and like news time for free?
That's a good question. It's like, why did Bud Light do this if their beer is mostly associated with like the frat boy / you know, average 9-to-5 worker that comes home and grabs a brewski after, you know, doing woodworking with the boys.
Mm-hmm. It definitely isn't fizzy, fruity, fabulous like our friends at Vizzy.
First, let's define rainbow capitalism. Rainbow capitalism refers to corporations using the rainbow or other queer symbols as part of a marketing campaign to appeal to the LGBTQ2S plus community and increase profits, and essentially saying, yo, go buy my stuff. Here's a rainbow.
Hey, gay.
Hey, gay, you're going to want to buy my stuff because we have colors on it now.
Sashay into these deals today.
So it's really just a form of commodification and exploitation of a marginalized community to get them to buy your shit. But rainbow capitalism isn't all bad if it's done like correctly. Like capitalism is what we exist in, right? Like it is the system. So everything is kind of capitalism.
Why not put some glitter on it?
Just put
Am I
glitter
right,
on the
sisters?
capitalism and make it a little bit nicer. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that you can do it in a more genuine and authentic way, because at the end of the day, it is all still going to be marketing. You are still trying to get people to buy your products, but it's a matter of like how you do it. Are you just slapping a rainbow on it, or are you creating something a little bit more meaningful? And I kind of want to talk about the pros and the cons of rainbow capitalism. Let's start with the cons. What do you think the cons are?
Honestly, I think the cons really relate to situations like this with Bud Light, where you can tell it's really, they didn't do anything actually meaningful for the community. I think where
they just like handed her a can.
Exactly. I think where it can be a positive thing, we've seen that through our own organization, where companies support the work that we're doing. They either like support us or support another nonprofit or charity organization,
Or
that's another other that's doing a lot of meaningful work in the community that is impacting lives of queer people in meaningful and significant ways, and or they're doing fun and interesting and engaging like programming or campaign, or they're engaging with like queer artists and creators and giving opportunities. You know, there's a lot of different things that organizations can do, period. But I feel like what Bud Light has done here is none of those things. They haven't done anything meaningful for the queer community. In fact, they've basically like lit a fire under Dylan, who is a very vocal trans advocate who gets a lot of hate online, gets a lot of really scary hate online.
And now is getting a lot more hate online.
And then they ran away. And I think that's like the shittiest thing they could do.
Deal with it yourself.
Yeah, they basically like used her for a publicity stunt. And I think that's like the worst example of rainbow capitalism I could ever see.
The fact that conservatives are so outraged by them just like handing her a can with her face on it is like mind-blowing also. Because, you know, there's like videos of like these old dudes being like, Bud Light, I've been drinking Bud Light for 35 years and now I can say no more.
So your Kid Rock impression?
It's not, it's like just like the average like redneck.
So not Kid Rock.
No. Well, is that what Kid Rock sounds like?
I have no idea. I just found out he's not a kid.
Look, my pa said I can drink Bud Light starting at age 6. Shut up, Tommy. But Bud Light has been actively sponsoring and quote unquote supporting the homosexual community.
Have they really?
Yeah, for like 20 years now.
Oh.
They like walk in like every pride parade and they do sponsorships with the community all the time.
Yeah.
This is like nothing new, but like people are just outraged. Maybe it's because, you know what I think it is because there's so much increasing harassment and outrage and talk about trans care, specifically trans youth and gender affirming care, that they're like anything with the trans name in it, they're going to like pounce on it.
No, I totally agree with that. And honestly, it's giving me like reminiscent vibes of the Kendall Jenner Pepsi campaign bullshit, where it's just like,
they
like
just
meaningless. Like
fixed racism with a can.
Who's your PR company? You know what I mean? It's like, this is so awful that it seems like it's intentional. Like it was a publicity stunt.
It could be, honestly.
Like I feel like they know that trans rights are a really hot topic right now. They saw what just happened with the sexy M&Ms.
So sexy.
So sexy.
So blasphemous. I can't believe someone would do that.
Honestly,
M&Ms have no right being sexy like that. They have no place acting that slutty.
Overall, I think the general like conservative outrage is a product of an uneducated society mixed with a news cycle that really likes to keep people distracted.
Yeah,
There's
of course.
So many issues in the
many
world.
Other fights to fight.
So
and
many
this
issues.
is what you're picking. You're picking M&Ms. You're picking a face on a can. You're picking Nike sports bras, which was another one that I saw.
Yeah.
Which was actually quite interesting. Nike had a trans woman as like the model for a sports bra. So many like middle-aged conservative white women were outraged to the point where they started burning all their Nike sports bras. But what that did is actually it gave a lot of awareness to the brand, a lot of outrage, a lot of controversy, a lot of awareness, a lot more eyes on it, and it actually boosted sales. So they're not dumb. It's like they can come out and apologize and be like, oh, we didn't mean to do this, and like we mean to bring people together, not divide, blah, blah, blah. But really, it's just all stunts.
And I gotta be so honest with you, I feel like their marketing people, their PR people, whatever, at Bud Light definitely used someone like Nike as a case study. Like they put that there in their boardroom and they presented this and they were like, look at what happened here.
We can be like that.
That's literally what they did. And they saw that Dylan is a very controversial person and basically used her for her likeness and her controversy.
Yeah.
The reason that we're finding this Bud Light campaign to be especially performative is really because of the statement that they've released.
So the CEO of Bud Light wrote, "We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people. We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer." And then continuing by saying, "My time serving this country taught me the importance of accountability and the values upon which America was founded: freedom, hard work, and respect for one another. As CEO of Anheuser-Busch, I am focused on building and protecting our remarkable history and heritage."
That's so intensely American.
It's very American.
My time-
America, fuck you.
Was he in the war? What does he mean? What does he mean by serving this country? Like as a CEO?
Maybe as a CEO
of
Anheuser-Busch. I think there's a couple points to jump off of here. And the first point to actually being that statement about like hard work, heritage, history, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it's all sounds like obviously ultra American, but in particular right-wing conservative American.
It's using a lot of their like rhetoric and language.
Of course. Something that I really want to point out is actually that Budweiser, not ironically, to be honest, because they do play both sides, and I thought that was pretty obvious, but I guess a lot of people don't know that. But they donate millions more dollars to the Republican politicians than they do to liberal politicians. So it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some people receive $500,000, and majority of it is red. There's very few blues in here, very few Democratic Party politicians that they donate to. With such a huge company like this, it makes sense, and it is not surprising at all that they play both sides.
Yeah, especially they're playing on the right side, not the right side, but I mean like the conservative side. They're playing on when it counts, and that means politically they're putting their dollars towards conservative politicians, and they're actually not even standing up for the trans people that they're sponsoring when it really counts and when their safety's at risk.
I dare you to try to live your life without products that support the queer community. There's very few companies. I feel like the only thing you could eat is like Chick-fil-A.
True.
They're going to have to get rid of everything, like their trucks. They've done queer campaigns in the past, you know?
Trucks?
Yeah, like Ford F-150s with my truck and my beer and my cowboy hat.
Ford is gay?
Ford, you know, like performatively gay.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying. But moving on, what are some of the pros that you see in rainbow capitalism?
Honestly, I think we've seen it firsthand is that it has the ability to support programming that is really meaningful for the queer community when granting doesn't really come through. I find sponsorships to actually be like the easiest, the most hands-off, and sometimes the best way to fund programming for marginalized communities. So I don't find it to be all bad. I think there are ways to support the queer community in a really meaningful way. Just in the work that we've done, I found that there's a lot of marketing people who are behind companies who actually do care about the queer community and have this huge marketing budget and want to do something meaningful. Yeah. And you can form real relationships with those people and do really nice things together. Sometimes there's quote unquote like bad apples behind these companies and their intentions aren't always genuine, and that's kind of what I'm feeling. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this whole Bud Light campaign and their marketing people stepping down. It's like, okay, what's actually happening here? Things don't seem right. you know?
Yeah.
To me, I feel like this move has shot them in the foot, honestly. The apology, it's like if you're going to choose a stance in a certain moment, choose that stance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just
you can't play both because now you
people
pissed
will
off
eventually
both
forget.
sides.
You know, if you're going to do a performance, stick to your performance. Commit to the bit, at least. Bud Light. My God. So to wrap it all up and put a rainbow bow on it, kind of move away from Bud Light and just looking at rainbow capitalism as a whole. Is it possible for a company to authentically represent and support the queer community?
Yeah, 100%. And I think you kind of represented it with Molson Coors. I think we've had an overwhelmingly positive experience working with their child, Vizzy. And that's kind of the example that
Their fruity baby.
Their fruity little baby. That's kind of the example that we can go off of, honestly. It's like for their campaign that's coming up this year, they had us consult in the room. Mm-hmm. We were there working with them to like make sure that the campaign that they're working on is going out in a positive way.
That's actually huge because we have done consulting work before for other companies. And
they kind of ignored us.
Yeah. So if you're going to have a consultant and you're going to be like, they signed off on this, like actually listen to them. Yeah. That piece is huge. But yes, consulting is definitely the first step, I think.
I think consulting is massive. I think actually working with the queer community is huge. Like having queer people in the room from start to finish of your campaign. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like I can tell with a lot of campaigns when I'm like, was there a gay person anywhere to be found? No, I don't think so. Someone would have flagged that. So
like there's many campaigns where I'm like, oh, okay, this did not go through a single queer person ever.
So there's that. I think also a piece of one thing that I look out for with companies is making sure that beyond this logo, what are they actually doing for the community? Mm-hmm. Another piece that I was going to say that you even highlighted from Molson Coors is that they did work internally as well to make their own organization a safe space for queer employees. I think that's a really massive step. Internal work is huge. Yeah. And then external work, it's like, how are you helping your community around you? And that comes in through donations, through the work that you might be doing directly to fund and support the community. I think those two pieces are really, really big. It's how you're engaging with everyone that you're serving.
Yeah, and with every company that reaches out to work with us or that we're interested in working with, we're always asking and ensuring that whatever campaign that they got going on, is there a donation component? Is there some sort of community activation component? Is it just like surface level, you want to make this thing to make yourself look good? Yeah. And I think that is also really important, is like, okay, as a consumer, even if you're seeing like this campaign with like a famous person or like whatever, and it's all like giving brand awareness and bringing profits to that brand, it's like, what else are they doing? Like, are they actually caring about whoever it is that they're trying to appeal to? Or is it all just surface level? Like, are they just handing somebody a can? Or are they donating to groups that are really addressing the issues around gender affirming care for trans youth? Like, what are they doing?
I honestly think it's like, we're stuck in this capitalist hellscape, but the least we can do is vote with our dollar. You know what I mean? For sure. And I think it's been very, very clear to a lot of these companies that liberal voting bases have a lot of buying power, and that's why they choose to perform in this way. You know what I mean? Because it is profitable for them. And I think the way that this can benefit us as a community, as a society, is voting for our dollars for companies that are actually supporting organizations that you value the work of financially.
So if you're really looking to see who's taking those extra steps beyond just like walking in the parade or slapping a rainbow on their logo, go to their website and see what they're actually up to. See what kind of community activations they're engaging in, see what kind of programs that they're running. If you really want to separate the posers from the doers. And I think that's a good place to leave this conversation. So that is everything that we have for you today. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to learn more about rainbow capitalism, click this video right over here. Until next time,
peace.